Alright guys, so welcome back to another Patreon request, and this one comes from Bombastic, and Bombastic asked me to do a sequel, basically a sequel to one of the most famous crossover games, X-Men vs. Street Fighter. So he asked me to do a story of X-Men vs. Street Fighter 2. So this is going to be fun. This is going to be totally fun. So let's get started with this story. So this story of X-Men vs. Street Fighter is basically a story where it's actually set in modern day X-Men era. So this is the nation of Krakoa. And if you're wondering, like, how does this work? I'm going to go with the old classic comic version of, it happened a few years ago. Like, a few years is really 40 years. It's really like 30 years. So yeah, a few years ago, the events of X-Men vs. Street Fighter happened, but now we are dealing with a sequel set in the Krakoa era of X-Men. So essentially what has happened is that the X-Men are Cyclops and a few of the X-Men are summoned by by Professor Xavier. They're summoned by him and says, "Hey, I felt this weird like mental disturbance, and you should go check it out because there's someone on this island who shouldn't be here." And Wolverine's like, "Oh boy, I'm gonna kick someone's ass today. Like someone broke onto the island. They ain't gonna leave it. They ain't leaving." So Wolverine and the other X-Men go into Krakoa to find where this unknown person was. Turns out that unknown person was Ryu. And Wolverine and Ryu actually, it's not Wolverine, it's Cyclops who encounters Ryu first, and he's about to blast him. He's like, "Wait, I remember you. Ryu? What's up, man?" He's like, "You don't, what are you doing here? It's been, years since we last met." And Ryu's like, "I don't know how I got here either. I don't know, I've been basically fighting my way through this island for the past few hours. Something happened, and I was thrown here. You guys didn't, Xavier didn't bring me here again, to battle, we didn't, Apocalypse or Onslaught didn't cause the universe to be flung together, right?" And he's like, "You're gonna need to sit down, man. Some shit changed while you were away." And Ryu basically, they ask, "Hey, so why are you here, Ryu? How did you end up on Krakoa?" And Ryu basically explains that, "Look, I and a few others, like Chun-Li, Guile, Cammy, and a few others were battling Shadaloo. I tagged along at Chun-Li's request to help battle Bison, who is more or less siphoning his psycho power into a machine that was going to rip open into another universe. But I guess it crossed wires with whatever portal power your living island has. It tapped into that and ripped open a doorway to there. So we all got thrown here. I don't know where everyone else is, but we gotta find them." And about that point, Apocalypse walks in, and Ryu's like, "This motherfucker? Are you serious? What is wrong with you people? Did you guys forget the shit we all went through to battle this guy? Did you guys forget who he was? Did you guys totally forget what this guy is capable of? What the great good fuck is wrong with all of you?" Obviously, I'm Ryu is just angry at all this because he's like, "We fought Apocalypse, and you let the wolf into the hen house. You let the wolf into the sheep's pen. You have literally, what were you thinking?" He's like, and Xavier's like, "Ryu, you don't understand. These are mutant politics, and you are not a mutant. But we'll forgive the decorum." And he also goes, "Why is Magneto here too? as I recall, he tried to kill me. And if I remember right from our last meeting, he tried to kill all of you, and he's like, still, you're not a mutant, so Magneto's like, you're not a mutant, so I could kill you, man. Remember that. And Ryu's literally like, yeah, I don't fear you. And Magneto goes, I'll change that. So Xavier's like, guys, enough. If what Ryu says is true, then not only do we have to find the other people from his universe, but we also have to combat whoever was, like, whatever M. Bison was planning. Like, that's the big thing we have to worry about, is whatever M. Bison was planning, it obviously has something to do with Krakoa. And already, like, they get a call from Laura, who's like, guys, you're gonna want to see this. And they go, and Laura and some of the other younger X-Men have more or less encountered that the psycho power, Bison's psycho energy, has more or less started to infect Krakoa, and it's like decaying it and also like twisting the evolution and the animals on there, and it's like corrupting Krakoa, and it's starting to corrupt like mutants. So if this was like a video game, this would be like the power-up you would get. If we were going to go by fighting game logic, like this would be like the video game like power-up you would have. So yeah, more or less, so a team has to like help Ryu find the other heroes, like help find Chun-Li, help find Ken, and the others who are like all over the place. And the rest of the team will go and help, figure out the source of like what's causing Krakoa to be twisted like this. Because now that they're starting to see that psycho power is starting to like expand and like further infect other like mutant areas. Like that's the thing that really gets Xavier and Magneto's attention, is that it's starting to infect like major areas where mutants are. What is his plan? Like, what is the deal here? And they're like, then like Magneto brings up the point of, he couldn't have done, Bison, as I recall, Bison, as powerful as he was, he's still nowhere this smart to pull something like this off. Like, he had to have gotten help from someone on this universe. And what scares me is that it might be someone we know. And Xavier's like, get Essex. Someone get Essex right now. So they obviously, the first target is Sinister, and Sinister's like first words are, why is it when something goes wrong you always look at me? And they're like, it's obvious, it's kind of easy to point fingers at you, dude. So Sinister basically says, it wasn't me, I didn't do it, I would know better. Like, I remember all those years ago, when I encountered, Bison all those years ago, I knew better to deal with. I tried to experiment with the psycho power, did not go well for me. So yeah, did not go well. So meanwhile, all the other X-Men characters are looking for the other Street Fighters who, like, it's not just them, but like C. Viper, Sagat, like Dhalsim, all of them were pulled here. So more of the X-Men start fighting the other Street Fighter characters, while Bison is getting together. Is now revealed to who he's working with, and the person he's working with is Cameron Hodge. Now, if you don't know your X-Men, Cameron Hodge is a guy who funds Sentinels. He's also part of the Phalanx, and the Phalanx are playing a big part into Jonathan Hickman's giant scheme. That they're kind of like, the Phalanx are kind of like the end game. Turns out that the thing that the portal that Bison had created and was generating his energy through was a Phalanx technology that tumbled into their universe from the future, from the Phalanx timeline, and it fell through this timeline into this one, and into his, and he was experimenting on it and it was also encoded with Krakoan DNA. It was like biometric Krakoan DNA. See, I'm going really all out with this one, like a full John Hickman. And basically, it more or less allowed him to open that gate to Krakoa. And it's also starting to infect mutant DNA. So, not only is it psycho power, it's Phalanx technology, and Cameron Hodge found Bison and his other warriors and are, like, upgrading them with, like, Phalanx Sentinel technology. He's not, like, cybernizing them, it's more like he's just upgrading them with better weapons. And, yeah. So, once everyone gets together, everyone battles them, but here's the thing. There is a wild card factor among all this, and that's Akuma. And Akuma has been fighting his way through several mutants. He actually goes to Krakoa. Like, he travels to Krakoa and starts battling his way through multiple X-Men. And he, like, takes down Colossus. He takes down Storm. He takes down a lot of them. And then he encounters Jean Grey. And Jean's like, "You're not getting past me, dude." And he's like, "Oh? Why is that?" And she goes full Phoenix. So the power, Akuma and the Phoenix just throw down and, like, are tearing all through. Like, they're fighting all over. It's not just on Krakoa. They're fighting on different. The Satsui no Hado is going up against the power of the Phoenix. So by the end of it, the portal's destroyed. Bison is thrown back, and doing so because he was like Bison was the conduit. All the other characters are thrown back into their universe as well. And by the end of it, everyone's like, "Oof, that was fucked up. It's quite the adventure." Anyway, so there you go, guys. I'd like to thank Bombastic for this Patreon request. And if you would like to have a Patreon request done, just hit the link below, head on over to my Patreon, where if you hit the 4th tier, you can send me a request to do here on Patreon. Other than that, hope you all enjoyed this. I'm Mr. Multiverse. I'll see you next time in the Multiverse.